I'm gonna do a little late breakfast cooking here at the house. Hash browns, eggs, and toast. Wonder if a meatball or three would go good in there. We have the sausage patties. Might throw a couple of those in there. You never know. Bada bang, bada boom. Even though I am cooking at home, I'm still really in the mood to go to IHOP. Let's get in on this, shall we? You're a loser. I was going to throw a big handful of hash browns in there and then pour some cooking oil, peanut oil or whatever on top and let it kind of mix in just a little bit. But I don't have any, so let's go ahead and pre-glisten the pan, I guess, in this case, as if we're doing eggs, and see how that works out. If you know any way to prevent your hash browns turning into a giant brick of tater, let me know. I don't want to create tater mush and break these up any more than they are. However, what's a fella to do? All right, we'll see if this works. This is the off-brand of Mrs. Dash. I was completely fooled at the store and thought I was buying Mrs. Dash, but I was actually buying this rip-off brand Dash, which I think is deceiving as shit. I'm going to throw some of this on there. I think I'm going to take these pancakey sausage things and put them, try to get the stick out of there and kind of put chunks of them in there frozen, and then mix it all up. And then when it's almost done, I think what I'll do is I will go ahead and drop on top of it like 2 or 3 eggs and mix that in with it and see how she turns out. All right, I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but there is pancake and sausage and taters sizzling up on medium heat. Let's go ahead and throw some light on the situation. And I think I'm going to drizzle some El Natural maple syrup on this bad boy. And I am not shortening this clip later. So what you see is what you gonna get. Which basically means I have to hit the stopper button when I'm done. And you fine folks will get to see all of that. Isn't that sexy? Boom. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but here's hoping. I'm going to just mix it with 2 spatulas basically and let it basically like breakfast stir fry in there until it's ready for egg application. So far so good. I'm just stirring with these, kind of taking both and mixing them. But look, my pizza server was not shaped like a spoon when I bought it just a week or 2 ago, but it is now. Every time I clean this, it curls more and more. Yeah, I don't know what to do because I really like this, but I'm pretty sure there's nothing more to like. I'm not going to be able to use it after it continues its curling process. I guess I'll buy a better one, a whole different brand. All right, the syrup has steamed out. Leaving the lid on was a great idea, not for heat, but you want to preserve a certain amount of moisture. You don't want the moisture to steam out too quickly because that's going to overcook your potatoes. What you want is the moisture to steam out slowly. So that is why the lid was a good idea, and medium heat is also a good idea. This is browning up slowly but surely. There's a delicious aroma off of this. Keep in mind there's a little bit of that Dash seasoning, and there's also syrup in there floating around, just a little drizzle on there that got mixed in. And I've just been mixing it with these large hosting utensils like this. I don't know if it's easier to do both hands and double mix, or just to take this and kind of hold the pan and work your way around. But so far, so good. I'm hoping this will brown up at the same rate without getting too crazy one way or the other. And then it'll be egg time. When I put the eggs on, I'll probably crack 3 over this. I'll mix that in until I just don't notice any runny egg anymore, and breakfast should be ready at that point. How's my little guy doing? Not bad. I think it's time for another stir. There's some crisping up of the pancake pieces, which is a-okay. That'll go well, I think, with this particular setup. I went ahead and cracked 3. I'm going to mix that in. I'm not going to break up the yolk on purpose with this and blend like I'm mixing, like you're in a mixing pot. I'm just going to rearrange everything like this, and that egg will break up, but not in a blending way. It'll break up to where there's larger chunks of egg when you eat this, and it'll be yum-tastic. The egg has broken up lovely. I want to preserve a little bit of the moisture right now, and I'll give it about 4 or 5 more minutes, and that egg should be cooked throughout, and this should be ready at that point. All right, Hillbilly Egg Delight is done. As far as this goes, let's take the lid off, let the rest of that moisture get out of there, but it's also important to shut the burner completely off at this point, because you don't want this to over fry on the bottom or anything like that. Now, that cannot happen. That's impossible. But you'll also achieve that other goal of getting all that last bit of moisture out of there. It has cooked up perfectly, and it is toast time. I love my countertop mini oven, and I love my thick Texas toast pieces of bread. I'm going to put it on about like that. Get these pieces of bread nice and toasted up. All right, it's time to plate and serve. I don't have butter, but I did add it to my shopping list, which is the next best thing, I guess. All right, this next step is probably just for me or people like me. I am going to load up this egg tater sausage casserole with ketchup and a hefty chunk of sriracha sauce. I'm going to get this really spicy, specifically with sriracha, because that'll be perfect with this dish. I said I don't have butter. However, the next best thing you could do instead of butter, believe it or not, is going to be a very thin layer of mayonnaise, and I think I'll go ahead and do that here. It is ready for consumption. It'll be a nice distraction from how many dishes I have to do. I'm actually just going to eat right here at the good old bar. I don't know why I was headed that way. So keep in mind, this is something I whipped together with stuff I already had: eggs, frozen hash brown, things like that. And we had to compromise. We had to do alternatives. We had to do an alternative to butter and an alternative to cooking oil. Not bad for what we had. There's always options in your kitchens, whether you realize it or not. It may seem like that recipe is dead in the water because you don't have this thing or that thing, but there's normally always a good substitute that can save the meal. I went ahead and whipped up plenty, and I will save all that extra for next time, and it'll go good in the microwave, especially if you spruce it up with a little bit of sauce if you want. If you have like a butter garlic breakfast sauce or something like that, fantastic. Or you can make such a sauce relatively easily. I recommend having butter to make that sauce, which I do not have, but it got added to the shopping list. Again, the next best thing. I went ahead and put a piece of cheese on one side so I can have 2 different taste signatures on the dish. If you want all of your bites to have a nice cheese to it, throw 2 pieces on there, whatever the case may be. Bon appetit. Absolutely delicious. And I can already tell this is going to be very filling, very satisfying on the budget and on the taste buds and on the stomach. Thanks for cooking with me today.